memory to all of us. It's of course more than just a this back
Everything up? May pepe, like may light taken me.
is not just a monument. It is more than just the bronze and the stone that you see. Sometimes you've seen it in the days gone by, rushing past it as a pupil running for your classroom. Sometimes you would have passed it without much of thought. But I think it's evenings like this that remind us what it truly stands for. It's courage, it's conviction, and it's the start of something that changed the direction of what we became, not just as a school, but in fact, as a country. Up next, we will have our dignitaries making their way to the Kularatna Auditorium. But before they join us in the audience, they will be lighting up the traditional oil lamp as we would always do when it comes to any special occasion or event held at Ananda College. The ceremonial lighting of the oil lamp, it's something that always feels so familiar, isn't it? But the interesting thing is no matter how many times we truly do it, you never really lose the beauty of it. I'd like to now invite all our special dignitaries, starting off with our Olcott orator for the evening, Professor Udaya Annakage, to light up the traditional oil lamp, followed by the principal of Ananda College, Mr. Lal Disanaika, the executive president of the Old Boys Association, Mr. Samita Seneviratna, the joint secretaries of the Old Boys Association of Ananda College, Mr. Kalana Dias, and Mr. Dinuka Chandrakirti, the project chairman of the Olcott Oration 2025 and the vice president of the Old Boys Association of Ananda College, Mr. Yasas Aryaratna, the treasurer of the Old Boys Association, Mr. Sujiva Vidanapatirana, and also alongside with them the deputy principal, Mr. Sugita Madhuranga, and the deputy head prefect of Ananda College, Charusha Randita. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned to you before, at Ananda, I think we've begun countless occasions this way, lighting up the traditional oil lamp. But every single time we do it, it feels new. Every single time it promises to produce hope. It promises to produce light. And it becomes more than just a symbol. It in fact becomes a promise. A promise that knowledge will always guide us and our courage shall never fade away. And that it shall dispel the darkness, not just in the hearts and minds of those in there, but in fact in the hearts and minds of everyone in this auditorium. And with that, I believe it would be safe to say we mark the commencement of the Olcott Oration for the years 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, now would be the time for us to kindly rise and welcome the ceremonial procession as they join us in this audience for the Olcott Oration 2025. What great energy, ladies and gentlemen, and what better way for us to kickstart the Olcott Oration for 2025. Tonight, in fact, will be a reminder of what we could create through courage and what generations so far as Anandians have carried through the legacy and the light of Ananda College. Now, before I take a moment to welcome all of you, I'd like to commence proceedings for this evening by welcoming on stage the following dignitaries to take their seat at the head table. First and foremost, I'd like to invite our Olcott orator for the AS 2025, Professor Udaya Annakage, to join us on stage. I'd like to now invite the principal of Ananda College, Mr. Lal Disanaika. I'd like to also invite the executive president of the All Boys Association of Ananda College, Mr. Samita Seneviratna, and the project chairman for Olcott Oration 2025, and the Vice President of the All Boys Association of Ananda College, Mr. Yasas Aryaratna, to join us on stage. With that, ladies and gentlemen, like I mentioned to you before, it's with a lot of pride and it's with a lot of honor that I stand here tonight as your host for the Olcott Oration 2025 and have with me the opportunity from the bottom of my heart to welcome each and every one of you for the Olcott Oration 2025. I'd like to give a round of applause for the ladies and gentlemen, for the gentlemen that have joined us at the head table, and thereby mark what would be the official beginning of an enriching evening to unfold. Right. So it's time for us to commence proceedings, but let's do it in the true spirit of unity and pride. I'd like to request all of you to remain standing as we will now play the national anthem, followed by the college anthem.
Sri Lanka Mata, Upper Sri Lanka, Namo. දින කිතුවත බෝවි වැජවෙනු අනසමාතා දින දින කිතුවත බෝවි වැජවෙනු අනසමාතා සුදිරි ජය වීරොවෙහි සාදා දීරා සතවා අලාද විනේද පහදා සාදා දීලා සතවා අලාද විනේද පහදා එවිතර සිංහල දරු කැල සතනා එවිතර සිංහල දරු කැල සතනා දින දින කිතුවත බෝවි වැජවෙනු අනසමාතා දින දින කිතුවත බෝවි වැජවෙනු අනසමාතා සතිහි බෝ ආනන්දේ පතුලා අනද තෙරුන් තේලෝ වැඩ සලකා සතිහි බෝ ආනන්දේ පතුලා අනද තෙරුන් තේලෝ වැඩ සලකා දේවි සේවේ සාවේ සේවා පමාද නොවේ මුතිලෝ නැති දේවි සේවේ සාවේ සේවා පමාද නොවේ මුතිලෝ නැති දින දින කිතුවත බෝවි වැජවෙනු අනසමාතා දින දින කිතුවත බෝවි වැජවෙනු අනසමාතා.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we take our seats, I believe it would be rather appropriate that we take a minute of silence in order to respect those who have been here without us. So let's take a moment to pause, to honor our founders, to honor our teachers and all Anandians who've been here before us. I'd like to request all of us to now remain in silence for the next 1 minute. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we continue, I think it's only right that we begin our typical evenings within this very premise, every occasion associated with Ananda College, with the blessings of the Mahasangha. We're deeply honored to have here with us Venerable Galnave Samahita Thero, and I would like to most respectfully invite the Venerable Thero to lead us in Pansil.
හොඳයි කවුරුත් සාදුකාරය පවත්වන්න. තෙවර නමස්කාරය කියන්න පන්සි සමාදන් වීම සඳහා. බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami Panatipata veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami Adinnādāna veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami Kāmesu micchācārā veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami Surameraya majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami
My sincere most appreciation to the Venerable Thero for your blessings. I know each of you must be eagerly waiting to take your seats, but you will have to bear with us for a few more moments. Because tonight is all about being grateful, isn't it? Tonight is about remembering how far we've come as an institution, how far we've come as an organization, as a country. And I think appreciating the journey, appreciating the highs, the lows, and the challenges that have come with it. Now, all of us would agree, Ananda didn't start off as a grand idea as such. It began more as a faith. I think it began more as a faith where a few people believed that learning could lead to liberation. So before we celebrate the present, I think it is only right that we pause and respect and pay our tribute to the people who made it all happen. So I'd like to now invite our distinguished guests on this stage for us to pay tribute to our founders who have been positioned on the left extreme of this stage. I'd like to now invite our Olcott Orator for 2025, Professor Udaya Annakage, Principal of Ananda College, Mr. Lal Disanayaka, and may I also invite the Executive President of the Old Boys Association of Ananda College, Mr. Samita Seneviratna, to kindly step forth and to offer floral tributes to our founders, to Colonel Henry Steele Olcott, to Venerable Hekkaduwe Sri Sumangala Thero, and to Venerable Migettuwate Gunananda Thero. And as we do such, ladies and gentlemen, I think we will all agree yet again in one voice that these were personalities who didn't just build a school. I believe that they built a way of seeing the world. And for that, we shall always be thankful. I'd like to now request all of you to kindly take your seats and appreciate your patience in staying standing for the entirety of the proceedings. Up next, we've got a video that will play on this video wall that's behind us. That'll depict the vision, the courage, and the conviction of Colonel Henry Steele Olcott.
Colonel Henry Steele Olcott is an important Sri Lankan national hero and is perhaps the most important of such heroes who was born overseas. Colonel Henry Steele Olcott was born in 1832 in the United States. A journalist and a lawyer, Colonel Olcott achieved early distinction as as an officer in the US Army during the American Civil War, which was fought from 1861 to 1865, achieving emancipation of the slaves in the United States. He served in several important military and governmental roles in the course of his career. The Panadura Vadaya, or the Panadura debate, was instrumental in Colonel Olcott visiting Sri Lanka. Colonel Henry Steele Olcott co-founded the Theosophical Society in 1875, along with Miss Helena Blavatsky and others. They transferred the headquarters of the society to India in 1878. Colonel Olcott and Miss Blavatsky reached Colombo in 1880 and observed the Panchasila upon their arrival. At a time when the practice of Buddhism in the country was under serious threat, Colonel Olcott, along with his colleagues, instituted important measures to stem the deadline. The establishment of a network of Buddhist schools under the Buddhist Theosophical Society was of paramount importance. The network of schools include Ananda College, Colombo, Dharmaraja College, Kandy, and Mahendra College, Gaul. The Buddhist Theosophical Society schools had an uphill battle to fight for a long time, having to compete against the well-established missionary and British-controlled educational institutions of the time, whilst receiving no support from the establishment. However, the Buddhist schools established under the Buddhist Theosophical Society thrived, while also being a foundational element the Buddhist revival in Sri Lanka. The Buddhist revival, in turn, was of paramount importance in the success of the independence movement. Colonel Olcott passed away in 1907 in Adyar, Chennai. The Buddhist revival in Sri Lanka played an important role in Buddhism, continuing to thrive in Sri Lanka despite many challenges, was also contributing substantially to the realization of independence for the country. Colonel Henry Steele Olcott played a very important role in the Buddhist revival. He is one of Sri Lanka's most important heroes and should be recognized as a key figure in the strengthening of Buddhism worldwide. Such was his enduring influence.
A story of courage, conviction, and inspiration, no doubt. I don't think there would have been any other or any better way for us to perhaps kickstart the next phase of our agenda for this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm fairly certain that video drew some inspiration, that you were able to draw some inspiration and some learnings and some important information, no doubt. It's not just nostalgia. I think there should also be a sense of pride in what you just saw and learned, hopefully for the young Anandians as well. Now, when you strip away everything else that comes with this institution, the titles, the ceremonies, the milestones, what really makes Ananda special are the people. What makes any institute special would be its people. It's really the people, it's you, me, it's all of us that have really allowed and helped to keep the lights going at this very institution. It's the people who keep showing up. It's the people who give support. It's the people who put in the support and the effort to lead. It's the people, some very quietly, some maybe loudly, but everyone who've done their part with a lot of heart that takes responsibility for what this institution has turned out to be today. And the Old Boys Association of Ananda College, I believe, have been at the heart of it, have been at the center of it. It's been the bridge that's kept generations of Anandians connected between true and far apart. So, I sense there is no better person who should have the honors of welcoming this esteemed gathering this evening. So I'd like to welcome to the podium the president of the Old Boys Association of Ananda College, Mr. Samitha Seneviratna, to deliver the formal welcome address.
Good evening to all of you. The Principal of Ananda College, Mr. Lal Disanayaka, Deputy Principals, Assistant Principals, members of the tutorial staff, orator for this evening, Professor Udaya Annakage and his wife, Mrs. Annakage, members of the Ananda College All Boys Association, the members of the Management Committee and the Executive Committee and affiliated groups, and distinguished alumni of Ananda Fraternity, members of the SDS, dear prefects, students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very humbled and honored to be the one making the open remarks by way of a welcome in front of a distinguished and intellectually stimulating gathering present both in person and of course online at this moment at this prestigious flagship event organized by the Ananda College All Boys Association, Olcott Oration 2025. In 1886, exactly 139 years ago, Ananda College was formed, or rather, came into being as an English Buddhist institute in response to a social religious condition at that time, where the movement was spearheaded by late Reverend Hikkaduwe Sri Sumangala Thero and late Reverend Migettu Atte Gunananda Thero, who were ably supported by late Colonel Henry Steele Olcott. Since then, for the whole history, we as the alumni of this institute have been maintaining that legacy created by late founders to the best of our ability. So, at this flagship Olcott Oration 2, we are trying to maintain the cherished values by portraying a distinguished alumnus to make a worthy oration in memory of late Colonel Henry Steele Olcott. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to witness another milestone on that historical path. So, I would like to welcome with due respect and honor the member of the Mahasangha who was just here to invoke the blessings of the Pansil with us. Then to do the honors, we have with us Professor Udaya Annakage, Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Manitoba, Canada. And on behalf of the Ananda College All Boys Association, I welcome you, Professor, at this forum. And it goes without saying, the same sentiments goes to Mrs. Annakage, who is present here with us today as well, and for having accepted our invitation and for being here today. Our principal, Mr. Lal Disanayaka, and the tutorial staff also deserves a warm welcome for this event, for their graceful presence at this moment. Then I would also like to welcome with brotherhood the members of our all boys fraternity who are here today and also joining through the live streaming as a mark of respect for our founders. Further, I would like to extend a warm welcome to distinguished invitees who are present here that has given us a true meaning for our mere existence. So on behalf of the Ananda College All Boys Association, I would further extend the warmest welcome for the members of the SDS, present students, the prefects, and ladies and gentlemen who are here with us today. All in all, I strongly presume that we are going to witness yet another interesting and very timely oration through Professor Udaya Annakage, while wishing all the blessings of Mother Ananda, I remain. Theruvan Saranai.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seneviratnan. You were absolutely spot on. I think the topic that we have for tonight is timely, is pertinent, and I'm quite certain so many of you in this audience are eagerly looking forward to hearing from our speaker tonight. But before we get there, I think I'd like to acknowledge one other group of people. Over the last many years, we've had so many distinguished old Anandians gracing this stage, being the orators at this very momentous occasion. And we've had so many distinguished Anandians who hold responsibilities in all avenues, in all multiple verticals of life, coming up on this stage and sharing their ideas and their knowledge with the fellow alumni. So before we introduce our speaker for tonight, I believe it would be appropriate that we go down the memory lane and take a look at all the individuals who have graced this stage, this podium, and have become or have been rated as Olcott orators to date. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to divert your attention to the big screen once more for a short video, which in fact is a tribute to all the orators who have graced the stage so far. Such an esteemed list of Anandians, isn't it? And I think what makes this story even better is the fact that we today have the opportunity of having some of you here with us as a part of our audience. So a special welcome to all of you as well once again. All right, so now the moment that all of you have been waiting for. I think it's time for us to hear from our orator for this evening on what I said would be a very timely and a pertinent topic, and it was highlighted before. But my responsibility here today would be to invite on stage a distinguished old Anandian who will bear the responsibility and the honor of introducing our Olcott orator for 2025. So I'd like to now welcome on stage Professor Nimal Rajapaksa, a distinguished old Anandian, former Olcott orator, a global academic, considered to be a global academic, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology, who will now take on the responsibility of introducing our Olcott orator for 2025.
Good evening, Mr. Lal Disanayaka, Principal of Ananda College, Mr. Samita Senweratna, Executive President of OBA, our distinguished orator today, Professor Udaya Annakage and Mrs. Annakage, past presidents of OBA, past orators, distinguished invitees, past and present teachers, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Udaya Deepa Annakage, a distinguished academic, researcher, and engineer whose work has had a lasting impact on electrical power engineering. Professor Annakage and I actually didn't know each other during our times at Ananda. I think he was about 5 years junior to me. But we met for the first time when he visited my former university, the University of Manitoba, for his sabbatical leave in late 1990s. Since then, we have kept in touch with each other. As you heard, he is currently a professor of electrical and computer engineering at the University of Manitoba. And he also serves as the president of CIGRE Canada, and the national chapter of a global organization that is committed to the development of power systems technology. Professor Annakage had his early education at Mathura Rahula College and then came to Ananda College. At Ananda, he excelled both in academics and leadership, serving as a prefect and as the treasurer and also the president of the chess club. He had the unique honor of training our junior chess team to its first ever national championship. Those early years at Ananda instilled in him the values of discipline, perseverance, teamwork that have guided his remarkable career. Professor Annakake earned his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering with first-class honors from the University of Moratuwa, and then he received a Commonwealth Scholarship to do his PhD at the University of Manchester in the UK. Over more than 3 decades, he has made groundbreaking contributions to power system dynamics, modeling, and control. He developed unique technologies that laid the foundation for modern power systems engineering. Professor Annakake is also an early pioneer in the application of artificial intelligence and machine learning. His research developed unique technologies and intelligent methods to improve the system stability, optimization, and automation of electrical power systems. He has also worked in the area of sustainable energy, making sure that the sustainable energy can be integrated into the grid without any stability problems. He has published over 175 research papers in leading international journals, supervised more than 25 PhD students, and also served as the associate editor of one of the most prestigious international journals in the field of power systems, the IEEE Transactions on Power Systems. He has delivered training programs in Australia, in Canada, China, Denmark, South Korea, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. He is also currently a consultant to the Ceylon Electricity Board. He also served as the head of the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Manitoba for 7 years with distinction. Beyond academia, Professor Annakake is a very successful entrepreneur. He co-founded one of the most successful consulting companies in Canada for power systems engineering, Transgrid Solution, a company that provides worldwide consulting. And I should mention here that more than half of the engineers working at Transgrid are Sri Lankans. So he has made a lifelong commitment to mentorship and opportunity. Professor Annakake is also very much devoted to voluntary service, particularly as the president of Satipasala, Canada, which is a mindfulness school where he conducts mindfulness sessions for children, nurturing awareness, compassion, and emotional well-being among the younger generation. Despite his global stature, Professor Annakake remains deeply rooted in the values he learned in his early life at Ananda and Rahula. Humility, kindness, and the conviction that the education is the greatest wealth. His career reflects his personal philosophy of continuous growth and Buddhist values to keep learning, to share knowledge selflessly, and to use it for the service of others. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Professor Udaya Annakake, a visionary engineer, scholar, mentor, and community leader whose work continues to inspire excellence, mindfulness, and humanity around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Nimal Rajapaksha, for that kind introduction. Principal, Mr. Dissanayake, Vice Principals, Mr. Pereira and Mr. Maduranga, President of the All Boys Association, Mr. Samita Seniviratna, members of the Executive Committee of All Boys Association, teachers of Ananda College, fellow Anandians, and friends. I'm deeply humbled to have been invited to deliver the 2025 Olcott Oration in honor of Sir Henry Steele Olcott. I consider this a great privilege and a special moment in my life. More than 50 years ago, I walked through the gates of this great institution, filled with excitement and hope. Today, to stand before this distinguished audience at the Kularatna Auditorium, which did not even exist at that time, is an experience that I find beyond words to express. My special thanks go to Professor Nimal Rajapaksha for nominating me for this honor. Professor Rajapaksha and I share a long journey through 3 places of learning: Ananda College, the University of Moratuwa, and the University of Manitoba. This talk would not be complete without speaking about Sir Henry Steele Olcott. Much has already been said about him, but I wish to highlight that he was instrumental in founding Ananda College and several other institutions to empower Buddhist youth through quality education. It was a crucial period in Sri Lanka's history, and his vision, courage, and tireless effort laid the foundation for generations of educated and socially responsible citizens. My deepest tribute to him for his vision and dedication. Before I begin my main topic, I would like to say a few words about how Ananda shaped my life. When I look back, 4 things stand out clearly in my mind: inspiring teachers, peer pressure that pushed me in the right direction, role models to look up to, and opportunities to grow. When I think of teachers, there are simply too many to name, but a few stand out vividly in my memory. Principal Lieutenant Colonel G.W. Rajapaksha, Venerable Divyaga Yasa Sitero, Mr. B.S.E. Galapatti, Mr. Ranjitithana, Mr. C.M. Veeraratna, and Mr. Ivo Fernando. Each of them, in their own way, inspired me through their discipline, dedication, and commitment to excellence. When it comes to role models, I was fortunate to look up to seniors like L.S.R. Vijayawardena, Lal Samarasekara, and Gayanath Fernando, individuals who set high standards in academics. Their influence, together with that of my teachers, shaped the foundation of my journey. The Ananda College Chess Club gave me wonderful opportunities to develop leadership and to experience the value of teamwork and perseverance. I had the privilege of working with and learning alongside inspiring mentors and friends such as Amit Vikrama, Vinita Gamage, Chandana Gunatilaka, Vijayasena Watugala, Gyamunu Nanayakara, and Sanath Hemachandra. Those experiences, the friendships, challenges, and shared successes help shape the way I think, lead, and work with others even today. Now let me briefly talk about why I chose this topic for this occasion. As we all know, it is not a surprise that we all talk about ChatGPT. When we talk about artificial intelligence, the term that we associate immediately and right away is ChatGPT. So AI has become synonymous with ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is not the only tool with similar capabilities. there are many other AI tools that offer similar capabilities. Now, before I get into the current status, I would like to say a few things about my own experience in applying artificial intelligence. Going back to mid-1990s, I applied fuzzy logic to design power system controllers. Later on, I applied decision trees for security assessment of power systems. I continued on with applying optimization methods like simulated annealing and genetic algorithms to optimize power system problems. Later on, I started working on neural networks to predict voltage instability in power systems and neural networks to predict stability of generators connected to power grid. And later on, I'm going to touch on these neural networks, and neural networks is the engine behind today's large language models, what we call GPTs in general. Now, to take us through how artificial intelligence evolved, people often refer to Dartmouth Conference that was held in 1956 as the birthplace of artificial intelligence. One groundbreaking paper was published by Alan Turing, very highly respected even today. The title of the paper, Computing Machinery and Intelligence. In this paper, he asked some profound questions. Can machines think? Can we make machines intelligent? And how do we know if a machine is intelligent or not? So that made the foundation for people to develop from there. And the most interesting thing is he did not publish that paper in a journal of science or mathematics. He published that paper in a journal called Mind, a journal dedicated to psychology and philosophy. So that's very interesting, and I'll come back to that point towards the end of my presentation. Now let's go through some key developments, historical developments, milestones in the history of artificial intelligence. There are many key developments. I have listed some of the most significant contributions that led to what AI is today. I hope this did not scroll through too fast, but the key things were introduction of neural networks and the tuning of neural networks using a method called backpropagation. And then after that, there was what we call AI winter, because funding went down and people stopped doing research on artificial intelligence, and then sudden rise of artificial intelligence research. It carried on for some time, and then another breakthrough of development of convolutional neural networks and recurrent neural networks that made another impact. And more recently, very recently, 2017, only 8 years ago, paper titled "Attention is All You Need," and that created the engine behind the large language models that we all talked about today. Now let me go through some of the building blocks, and as I mentioned, neural networks is the engine behind the large language models. So what is a neural network? Scientists have a model of how the brain works, the human brain. And that model, if we can emulate that model, try to mimic that model using a computer algorithm, computer program, then we call it a neural network. So to your right is the mathematical representation of our understanding of how the brain works. It has nodes and connections, and each connection has a certain strength. And for this network or this model to be able to predict the outcome of a situation, we have to train the neural network. That means we have to start with some inputs for which we know the output. And then we feed the known input and check the output. And if the answer is not right, we have to tweak around those strengths of these connections. If you keep doing that for a very large number of input-output pairs, we can, if we do it right, we can give an input that this network has never seen in the training process, and we can expect the right answer coming out of it. So that's a very basic introduction to one of the crucial components of artificial intelligence, which is neural networks. And optimization is one of the key things to develop artificial intelligence, and there are many different optimization techniques. I picked two for this presentation because those two are the ones that I have used in my own research. And these optimization methods are called nature-inspired optimization. The premise is that nature knows the best. So nature has a way of finding the best solution. So with that assumption, with that experience, we can try to look at various natural processes and see how that natural process is able to find the best solution. So let me just talk about two of those things. There are many. One is called simulated annealing. We know that if we heat a piece of metal to a very high temperature and then cool it slowly, the structure of the metal settles to a minimum energy. In other words, it found the optimum solution. Now, if you understand the physics behind that, then we can mimic that in a computer program, in an algorithm, and then use that analogy to model your optimization problems, just like the way the structure of the metal find the minimum energy. So that's simulated annealing. Another very common optimization method is called genetic algorithm. In genetic algorithm, we use the theory of evolution, where the theory says that in search of finding, survival of the best, generation after generation, we will get an improved population. So that's the theory of evolution. And then our task is to model it mathematically. And that mathematical model can be used to solve optimization problems. So how does it work? We have a problem and we don't know the answer. We have a trial solution. It can be the best, it can be a bad solution, just any random solution, and that's our guess. And then we create a population of these solutions. We call it population. Each solution is an individual. Then we apply the concepts of evolution, and through which we generate selection, crossover, and mutation, and we produce a new generation of solutions. From that, we keep repeating that, another generation of solutions. And eventually, hopefully, we will have a new population. Among that new population, we will have the best answer, or at least a very good answer. So that's genetic algorithm. Now, revert back to how artificial intelligence evolved from early days to what it is today. At the beginning, it was expert systems. Expert system is we program rules that we know, and many, many rules, and when you give an input, the input is processed through a set of rules and with the output. The challenge with that is we cannot possibly program every single rule that can apply to a system. So that is a roadblock of further advancement of artificial intelligence. So at some point, the rule-based or the expert system had to be abandoned in favor of data-driven artificial intelligence. With data-driven artificial intelligence, machine learning enables system to learn patterns from data rather than rules, and those are essentially neural networks. And then further development of neural networks came up later with CNNs, convolutional neural networks, recurrent neural networks, and so on. And finally, in 2017, the new paper that I mentioned already introduced what's called transformers, and that allowed machines to process images, speech, and language with high accuracy. And that led to what we all know today as large language models. Even the large language models, probably most of people who use don't know that term. People know the term GPT, which is generative, predictive, pre-trained transformers. Now, how it works. Now, if I ask you, what's the next word? The sun rises in the next word. Now, this is a phrase that we have seen before, we have heard before, and we know what the next word is. Sun rises in the east. Why? Because we have heard it so many times. So it is statistically, we know next word has to be east. Now, I love chess, so I had to take an example from chess. Now, suppose the phrase, I want to play, and you have heard this phrase with the next word, cricket, chess, music, tennis, and so on. And if you look at this list, and these are the only times you have seen this phrase being used. And we can see that most of the time we have used this phrase with the word chess. So if I start typing, I want to play, one would suggest that I'm going to type, my next word is going to be chess. That's statistical. Take another example. It was the best of something. And this is not a phrase that we come across very frequently. So if we were to predict the next word based on statistical information, probably we can't do that. But if you type this to any GPT like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini, or anything, I can guarantee you that it will come up with the word times. It was the best of times. Now, how does the large language model predict that term times? It is the opening line of a very famous classic, Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. And the large language model knew that that is a very important sentence. Now, in fact, large language models are trained with a huge number of sentences, in the order of trillion sentences. And to train a large language model with trillions of sentences, what's behind it? It's a neural network. Now, computers don't understand words. When you interact with ChatGPT or any other similar application, it seems like the computer understands words, but the computers don't understand words. Computers understand numbers. So for a computer to deal with words and sentences, we have to give some numbers. So here I am giving an example, very simple example of 4 words, man, woman, king, and queen. and I have placed them on a two-dimensional plane. So each point I can describe using two numbers, how far it is to the left and how far it is up or down. So two numbers will precisely tell you where the word is. But we can't do this arbitrarily. For example, if I choose those numbers correctly, if I take the two numbers corresponding to king, and if I subtract man, I should get the throne. You subtract man from king, you get the throne. Then you add the throne to woman, you should get queen. So to assign these numbers, or what we call embeddings, is not an easy task, but people have done that for many words. Now let's take two more examples. Where do you place the word girl in this 2D plane? And obviously, one would say it's close to woman, some association, and maybe girl plus age. If you add another word age, girl plus age gives you woman. Where do you place the word bishop? You can see bishop as a male religious figure. So we can find an appropriate set of numbers to represent that attributes of the word. But one would say bishop is a piece on the chessboard and queen is a piece on the chessboard. So from that angle, the word queen and word bishop must have similar numbers in the embeddings. So obviously, we can't do this with 2D. And when you think of all the words in the dictionary, tens of thousands of words, you simply can't do it on 2D. In GPT-3, the dimension is 12,288. That means each word is represented by 12,288 words, 12,288 numbers, like the last line on this slide. Now, each number represents something about the word. The meaning, its relation to other words, similar words, and where it can be used under different contexts. And if the word carries some emotion, so all this information is in the embeddings, and the word is a list of numbers. That's how we present the word to the computer. Another important thing, this I would say one of the important breakthroughs, is making a large language model understand the context of a sentence. For example, if you take the sentence, the trophy wouldn't fit in the suitcase because it was too, with human intelligence we might say, because it was too big. Because it's the way we see the world, we have experience, we're talking about suitcase, and we think of a standard size of a suitcase, and it can't fit because trophy is too big. But if I give a different context, if I give some money to somebody, go and buy a suitcase, and that person goes and try to buy it, and with that money I gave, they can't buy a big suitcase and come back with a small suitcase. So in that context, it is the suitcase, it is small, not trophy is big. So context is very important. Another example, I went to the bank. That statement alone doesn't give you the full picture. Is it the financial institution bank to do with money, or is it the river bank? But if I say I went to the bank to deposit a check, so in that context, I know it is not a river bank, it is to do something to do with money. So computers also need to learn how to understand words in the context to make the right predictions. So that's why context is everything in language understanding. Next thing is attention, and this is the latest breakthrough in artificial intelligence. Say for example, the cat that the dog chased ran up the tree. And with our human intelligence, we of course know it is not the dog who ran up the tree, it's a cat. Because we have a way of seeing this world. The world we see has been developed within us based on our experience, what we have seen. So we don't have to think, analyze, we immediately know it is the cat who ran up the tree. So how do you make a computer to have that kind of intelligence? Now, just imagine you are reading a long sentence and your brain automatically focuses on important words to understand the meaning. That's how the human intelligence works. Attention in AI works the same way. It lets the model look at all the words and decide which ones matter the most. I keep referring to this contribution already maybe 2-3 times. Attention is all you need. That's the title of the very famous paper published in 2017. That paper showed us the way to, at least to some extent, your language models to think like a human being. We are not there yet, but that's a good, breakthrough. That paper introduced the new term transformers. So transformer is the name, the model introduced in the 2017 paper. It uses attention to understand language better than ever before. So today's smart system like ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, they are all based on this transformer architecture. So you can see how fast the AI has developed in the past 8 years from 2017 to where we are today. So far I talked about large language models. It's a model that has been trained with trillions of sentences, and it can serve as something that you can talk to, like human language. You ask questions, it gives me the answer. I can ask it to describe something, it can give you a paragraph, or I can upload a paragraph and ask it to summarize. So it's a very powerful tool that understands language. But that alone is not enough. Now, if you ask Siri or Google Assistant to play music or check weather, language model cannot do that. So we need something more than a language model. To explain it in very simple words, just think of a language model as the interface of the user interfaces with the large language model, and just think of many other agents connected to the large language model. So different agents can do different things. So that's how today's AI work. We can ask the large language model, our communication interface, to give me a picture with some description. I can describe in words, in that picture I want to see this, and large language model cannot do that. It will use the appropriate agent to do that and get back to us. We don't see the agent, our interface is the large language model. Now all that is good, but there are some challenges. The biggest challenge is the high energy consumption. When you write something to your large language model, ChatGPT, say for example, it gives you an answer, but to give that answer somewhere in the world, in a data center, there's a lot of number crunching happening, and that produces heat. And as we know, when you produce heat, it heats the environment, and it's not good. And the other thing is warnings from AI pioneers. They don't all agree on this, but some warn that we are very close to human level intelligence, and that can have very dangerous consequences on the way we live, leading to ethical and safety risks. Because of that, we need responsible AI development. Now, where are we today? I took this diagram from somewhere, and according to this in the middle we have present and past and future. So past is artificial narrow intelligence, which is not close to human level intelligence. According to this diagram, we have reached human level intelligence, but we have not. And then the next distant future is artificial super intelligence. That means a machine is more intelligent than human being. So this is a very interesting, controversial topic. Now I like to talk about two different opinions of two of the top AI experts in the world. Let's take one of them. Geoffrey Hinton is a leading AI researcher. He is considered one of the three grandfathers of artificial intelligence. He worked at Google from 2013 to 2023 as vice president and mainly responsible for the development of artificial intelligence. He won the Turing Award in 2018, shared with two others, Jan LeCun and Joshua Bingo. This award is considered the Nobel Prize of computing. Hinton made notable contributions in neural networks, deep learning, backpropagation, and generative AI. I wanted to say that because my last bullet point is his view, and given the background, it has a weight because it's not just anybody saying this. So Hinton talks about perception, mind states, and consciousness. He suggests that if neural networks develop these capabilities, they could reach human-level intelligence, which would be dangerous if not developed ethically. I want to pay attention to three words: perception, mind states, and consciousness. Is sanya, sankara, and vijnana in Buddhist teachings. So he warns that it could be dangerous. Now let's look at another opinion by another prominent AI expert, and he is the other one of the three other winners of Turing Award. So Jan LeCun is a leading AI researcher. He's a pioneer of deep learning and chief of AI scientist in Meta, known for his work on convolutional neural networks and advancing modern AI. He is considered one of the godfathers of AI. As I said, he is one of the three who shared that Turing Award in 2018. And he views artificial general intelligence, that's a human level intelligence, as a long-term goal that requires new fundamental breakthroughs beyond current AI techniques. So LeCun believes large language models, LLMs, while impressive at language tasks, are not sufficient on their own to achieve artificial general intelligence or artificial super intelligence. So for those who are scared, that's some consolation. He says, don't worry, it's not going to happen. He argues that LLMs lack true understanding, reasoning, and common sense, and that future artificial general intelligence or human level intelligence will require more advanced forms of learning. And he proposes the way ahead. He says self-supervised and embodied learning. So those are the two opinions from the world's top researchers currently in this area. And I must say, I am no way near these experts, but I have my own opinion. Scientists have developed AI by trying to emulate how the brain works, neural network. But brain and mind are not the same. And where is mind? And we can argue, probably nobody knows where our mind is. Do we understand how mind works? And questions like, what's more powerful, brain or the mind? So going back to the question of, do we understand how mind works? And if we don't, how do you figure out how our mind works? Now, more than 2,500 years ago, Lord Buddha, in fact, explained how to figure out the process of mind, how the mind works. And it was in the very famous teachings called Four Foundations of Mindfulness, or Satara Satipatthana. Step by step, he explained how to figure out how your own mind works. So, going back to my question in the previous slide, do we understand how our mind works? But we don't know, but there's a way to determine or way to understand how our mind works. Now with that, can we achieve artificial general intelligence? Can we achieve human level intelligence? Now I can talk on that topic for another hour, but I don't have that much time, of course. I have my own opinions on that, but I want to leave you with that. Without answering the question, I want to leave you with that question for food for thought. Now, coming back to good understanding the mind, guide AI's future. In my view, the human mind holds untapped potential far beyond what machines have yet achieved, because machines have tried to emulate the brain, not the mind. If we can understand the true mechanics of how the mind works, its awareness, depth, and subtle processes, then it could open a whole new era for artificial intelligence. Now, rather than just mimicking surface behaviors, AI could begin to draw from deeper principles of cognition, consciousness, and insight. What if such understanding could transform the very direction of AI? And that's when ethics will play an important role. So my message to young Anandians: the future of artificial intelligence and the world it will shape will be led by bright minds like yours. As Anandians, you carry a deep responsibility to guide this powerful technology with wisdom, ethics, and empathy. Our founder, Sir Henry Steele Olcott, had a bold vision to uplift a nation through education, Buddhist values, and modern thinking. AI is at this turning point in history. Let us carry his vision forward. Let us ensure that the advancement of AI serves humanity. Finally, I'd like to thank the Ananda College Old Boys Association for inviting me to deliver this prestigious Olcott Oration. As I said at the beginning, I consider this as a very important thing that happened to my life. And I'd like to thank one of my past PhD students, Dr. Akbar Rupasinghe, helping me with gathering information for this talk, and also my sincere thanks to a PhD student also working at University of Manitoba for helping me with the slides and all the beautiful artwork, also an old Anandian. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to do justice to that oration that you just delivered, because I believe the depth, the intellect, and the fresh perspective that was a part of the oration that you just delivered, I think was extremely timely and pertinent. And I hope it was also quite useful for everyone in this audience in also getting you to think that artificial intelligence is evolving into something so much more than what we just use in our day-to-day. There's so much more to it than just the chatbots, the ChatGPT, or the tools that we use. Understanding how artificial intelligence is affecting the way we work, the way we think, the way we even connect as humans, I think is only going to be helpful for us to stay ahead of the game as we move forward to the times ahead. So once again, Professor, thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, and importantly, your passion and your knowledge with us and all these Anandians that are here tonight. Once again, a warm round of applause for Professor Annakage. With that, I believe we also have a small token of appreciation that we wanted to hand over. And I would like to now invite our principal, Mr. Lal Disanaika, at this very moment to hand over a special token of appreciation to Professor Annakage once again for sharing his time, his energy, his passion, and his knowledge with the wider group of Anandians and the accompanying special invitees who are here with us tonight. Now with that, we've got one more special item that we needed to tick off before we close proceedings for this evening, and yet another exciting update that I wanted to share with you. Now for years, for decades, if not for centuries, I think Ananda has been about sharing stories of milestones, of achievements, of people, of sons of Ananda who have done great and who have done justice to the great institution that we're all a part of. And a big part of that storytelling has been the Ananda magazine that most of you would have had the opportunity to perhaps take a read at. The first edition, the first publication of the Ananda magazine for 2025 will be launched as a part of this occasion. And I believe the first publication of the edition of the Ananda magazine for 2025 will now be handed over to Professor Annakage by the organizing committee of the Olcott Oration for 2025. Now don't worry, each of you will have the opportunity to get your hands on this copy of the Ananda magazine once we wrap up proceedings for this evening and have an opportunity to move on for refreshments and fellowships. We've reserved one copy each for each of our invitees for tonight. So you will be able to grab your copy of the Ananda magazine, which is now being handed over to all our special guests and invitees who are a part of today's program. Now with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to a close of this evening's proceedings, and I think it'll be only fitting if we end it just like how every good story should end, and that's with gratitude. So many hands, I think so many hearts, so many minds, so many people have been behind the scenes in ensuring that they've worked tirelessly for the success of the Olcott Oration for the years 2025. And I believe there's also been one person who's been steering those efforts quietly and also quite tirelessly. And it's someone we all know quite well, a passionate Anandian through and through. And I'd like to welcome to the podium Mr. Yasas Aryaratna, the project chair of the Olcott Oration for 2025 and the vice president of the Old Boys Association of Ananda College, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great honor and the privilege to deliver the vote of thanks, memorable occasion, the Olcott Oration 2025. First and most, we respectfully offer the gratitude of the Venerable Mahasangha for their blessings. On behalf of Ananda College All Boys Association, most importantly, I extended our heartiest thanks to the orator, Professor Uday Annakage, and his wife, Mrs. Annakage, for gracing this occasion. Sir, your insightful and inspiring oration has truly enriched all of us who are present here in the evening. Once again, thank you, sir. Our sincerely appreciation goes to our principal, Mr. Lal Disanayaka, for his unwavering guidance and leadership. We thanks to the Executive Presidents of Ananda OBA, Mr. Samita Senaviratna, the past presidents of OBA, all the distinguished All Anandians, special invitees, the SDS Secretary, the online viewers around the world, and especially past orators in this audience and their continued support and encouragement. Thank you very much, sir. A special word of thanks extended to our teachers, the head prefects, then all students. Those who have contributed high level ensured success of today's event. I must also acknowledge the gratitude, the efforts of the members of the management executive committee of the OBA, as well as all affiliated groups for their support extended organizing this immense event. Finally, a heartfelt thanks to the special organizing this oration committee, Olcott Oration subcommittee, and the Ananda magazine team. Your commitment, teamwork, and the fashions you have been truly strength behind the successful completing this prestige event. Before I conclude, I am pleased to inform you that responding to several of the requests made by previous orators, the Anand College All Boys Association has decided to establish an endowment fund to continue this leading event. The Olcott Oration ensure the continuity and sustainability. Recognizing the importance of this initiative, the Anand College All Boys Association Management Committee has agreed to proceed. And I will soon share the proposed structure of the funds and the way forward our past orators and the well-wishers. Thank you once again, all of your presence, your unwavering support and endeavoring commitment to the Ananda. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Araratna. Look, what an evening it has been, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's been an evening full of insight, evening full of pride, and I hope it's been an evening full of new learning for each and every one of us who've been a part of it. It's been also a moment where we've celebrated our past, sincerely shared our appreciation for the present, and most certainly, like I said before, be inspired for the future that lies ahead of us. With that, we'd like to formally wrap up proceedings for tonight, once again extending our sincere most appreciation to Professor Annakage and his spouse for gracing this occasion, and to each and every one of you for being a part of the Olcott Oration for 2025. We'd like to now formally wrap up proceedings, inviting each and every one of you to join us for refreshments and fellowships. Thank you very much, and may the blessings of Mother Ananda shower upon all of you. Thank you, and good night.
Gajata
සිත සැලෙන්නේ අඩිපස්සට හැරෙන්නේ අනන්තතාපාන නොපමානි පුනෝ ආමාන ගජතා බලේ අගපත්නු එලෝ මෙලෝ සුවපත්තු අනාගතේ පැවත්නු අනුහස් ඇති පුතනුවෝ කොතන රජ කරනවෝ ආනන්දේ පුත්තු අපි ආනන්ද පුත්තු රකී පෙරදිනේ දියුණු ලොවේ පෙරමුණේ ආනන්දතාපාන නොපමානි පුනෝ ගජතා පෙරුණෝ ආනන්ද සරණ ලබාමි ආනන්දතාපාන නොපමානි පුනෝ කුමරතාමාන ගජතා